And
Thank you.
you are good to
Oh,
go. Go ahead. And you've got plenty of time. So don't stress on that. Even though we're starting late, don't worry. Because
okay.
you're the last one today. So you're good.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, welcome to Grue. Thank you so much for taking time out and coming on the show.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having us.
Definitely, yeah. So like the first question I want to ask is like I I love the name of the film. How did you three come up with the title?
Yeah, so
Well, Cam, you want to go ahead? Yeah.
oh sure. We'd been, exploring the volunteer fire service when we first heard about this film. We didn't know anything about it going into it. So we'd done a lot of research, initially just, online, talking to people, seeing what was out there. And then as we actually started getting out there and going to fire departments, we just saw that there were so many of these, really fun signs out in front of fire departments and ways that they were trying to get attention, getting some prospective volunteers, and they'll get very creative with just putting ridiculous funny things out on their signs. So this was one that we had seen a few places, both online and in the real world, of just fun slogans to get people's attention, and that one really stuck out to us as really embodying the nature of what it is, that you're doing a job but you're not getting paid to do it, but there's some great perks that go along with it. So that just kind of really summed up a lot of it, and the humor involved really felt true to what we were encountering with volunteer firefighters. They tend to have a very good sense of humor about what they're doing.
Yeah. I think there's so many firefighter films that are out there, fire films and things like that. And obviously fire is a big part of what, the work that they do. But I think we just wanted something that kind of differentiated it and really focused on the volunteer service, and really kind of told that story. So, yeah.
Oh wow. So like what inspired you all to write the film, make it? Like why did you pick this out of everything else?
Actually, it was the project came to us actually. So it was the executive producer on the film, Peter Yoakum, had been just a retired guy just traveling around the country. And, I think he was just looking for a positive story to tell. And he kind of came across the volunteer fire service and really became interested in it and passionate about it, and interviewed lots of chiefs and firefighters, and just kind of became convinced it was a story that, that needed to be told. And so, I had this idea of doing some type of a film. He contacted us. We helped, we talked about it, kind of put some shape to it. And then we went off and made the film from there. But it really started with Peter and his kind of his vision to tell this story.
Yeah, and I think that for us it's one of these things that we had our own preconceptions going into it of what does it mean to be a firefighter. When we first heard like, oh, let's make a film about firefighters, I think we had things in our head of what that might be. And so very much as the film does for the audience, hopefully we had to kind of get rid of some of those preconceptions and learn a lot. And it really was one of these stories that there's just these kind of very undeniable basic human stakes and emotion to it, and the motivations that people have. But then there's also this like incredible impact they're having on their communities and how important it is to the country. So it's a great, just a great opportunity for some storytelling that could really have impact.
Yeah, I mean, I actually didn't have that much preconceptions. I just didn't know much about the topic at all, and I think we just, the deeper we got into it, the more we kind of fell in love with the people and the story. And we also just realized, the scope of it, there's 700,000 volunteer firefighters, across the country. 65% of all firefighters, are volunteers. Firefighters don't shoot. I mean, they don't shoot. That's us. Firefighters, like only 10-15% of the work they do is actually fighting fire. I mean, it's medical calls, it's rescue, it's pretty much anything. I mean, I think the film shows that pretty well, that these people are out there doing, pretty much whatever needs to be done where people need help. The volunteer fire service is there. So, so we learned a lot, just in our initial research, and then making the film as well.
Yeah, I mean that's good that you see all different sides, because when you think about it, everyone thinks that all they do is like go out and stop fires and slide down the fire pole and in the fire engine.
I don't
Like
think
you
we
see.
saw one fire pole, Ken. Did we see one fire
No.
pole? Yeah, so there you go. Misconception. No fire poles. Sorry. Didn't mean to.
And where did you film at? Like, what locations did you film at?
Yeah, so we ended up filming in around 8 different locations all around the country. So we really wanted to, show the wide scope across the country. So we had stories in Washington State, in California, on the West Coast. We had New York, Virginia, Maryland on the East Coast. We had Nebraska, Texas. So we really wanted to really paint this really diverse, broad portrait because it's different, like we're saying, it's different what they do in every place. So the needs in each community are going to be different. So in different places, it really looks different what we're talking about when we say volunteer firefighting.
Wow.
And we had sorry, just to add on to that, to get to those locations, we had 800 submissions of stories from across the country. So it was,
oh my God, really?
yeah, it was really something. It was amazing the response that we had when we first started looking for these stories, because we just put out a call and to see what would come back, and just started having these conversations with hundreds of people. And our casting director, Louise Collette, was really leading the charge of that, of just taking all of this in and beginning to understand what it looked like across the country. And then we had to figure out, how do we narrow that down, and how do we pick some stories that will help just demonstrate that range.
Wow. And like, how does it feel for you both to show the world all the different sides of it, and how brave these men and women are that are literally going into the line of fire?
It's exciting. I mean, I think one of the main purposes of the film is to raise awareness about the volunteer fire service. I mean, most people just don't know. Like I said, we didn't know, going into when we were first contacted about the film. And I think there's a lot of people, even within their own communities, might have a volunteer fire department and don't know that it's volunteer, So, I mean, I think the shining some light on these people and the work that they do, it's an honor to be able to do that. Yeah, so I mean, it feels great. And I think personally for us, it's our first feature film. So to complete a feature was an accomplishment, and see it up on the big screen and and do interviews like this it's been personally really satisfying as well.
Wow. And how about Cameron? Like, how do you feel about showcasing the brave men and women?
Yeah, it's something, these stories have been out there for so long, and I think that they just haven't been told. The volunteer fire service has been around since Benjamin Franklin, right? That was the origin of it, and it's 700,000 people. We're talking about a huge proportion of the country that's involved in this, and that is caring about their neighbors, taking care of them, being there on their worst day, and stepping up and doing that. But those stories really haven't been shared. So it feels very meaningful to be able to, as Gary said, to kind of shine a light on some of that. But even more than that, we've just formed relationships with these people as we parachute into their lives for a few days at a time and get to know them. And so, the firefighters are very humble people, but they're also very proud of what they do. And I think that hopefully it's meaningful for them to see their stories up there. And that's a big part of what we love doing, is collaborating with those people to share their own stories and get them up there. So yeah, thrilled to kind of be at this stage now and actually get it out into the world and get those reactions from people, both the people who are in it, it's finally seeing it out there, this journey that they've been a part of, but also getting reactions from audiences is great.
Yeah, I think the last thing I'd add to that was we have shown the film to everybody who's been in the film, and and one of our partners on the project was the National Volunteer Fire Council, who was kind of a they're kind of a consultant on the project, to help us kind of understand it and understand stories and help us in different ways. And everyone, that they all love the film, and they feel like we've represented the fire service, the volunteer fire service, well. And I think that was a big thing for us. It was important to get that feedback, directly from the firefighters, the departments, and the NVFC as well.
Oh, wow. And what do you both love most about making the film?
I mean, I've been shooting for a long time, and I think it's always, doing a story like this, something, again, we didn't know a whole lot about it going into it. So it's just a whole discovery process of just learning about something and, experiencing it firsthand, and, got to ride on fire trucks. We got to go around and see lots of different things. I mean, all that was fun. And it's the connection with the people that's always been, important for me, and meeting people and connecting with them and hearing their stories, and just being a part of this world for a little period that we get to kind of dive into it. That's always the thrill of working on stuff like this. But this was a particularly just inspiring and just fun story to work on.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I would just add to that. Yeah, it's being there in the moment, meeting people, spending time with them is incredible. Being, trusted to share their stories and like taking that seriously is really important to us, I think. And it's just this film for me, for sure, was just kind of that perfect storm of amazing people to work with. The firefighters are just great. Like they helped make this happen. They're incredibly resourceful, adaptable, and just, willing to do whatever it took. So they were great to work with. But then having that, these beautiful personal human stories that also are connected to this big idea, and getting the story out there in a way that can have impact, and knowing that it's at the end of the day hopefully going to be really meaningful for the communities where they're sharing these stories and helping raise awareness and helping raise new recruits. So for it to be connected, to those big goals that we had for the film is really special.
And I see the film has been being shown in quite a few film festivals, and like a lot of fans are loving it. And what do you hope fans that go to the film festivals take from watching the film?
Well, we actually have not been in any festivals, but we are doing theatrical screenings. So we were in New York last week at a really cool little theater in New York that we did it. Cameron's in LA right now doing a run, and there's some other screenings coming up that you can, if you go to oddhoursfilm.com, there's updates about where the screenings are. And I think the other piece of it that we really want to talk about is that part of from the beginning, the strategy of the film was, as Cam said, this is an impact film. And so there's been these grassroots screenings that were always been a part of the distribution kind of strategy for the film. So the film's available to volunteer fire departments across the country. And so far, I think there's been 490, departments that want to screen the film, and make them available to their communities for, to raise awareness about the work they're doing, to inspire other people to recruit. And that's been going on for weeks now. Those grassroots screenings have been happening at departments and community centers and, just places like that, all across the country.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think that really is the thing that, apart from being great stories, we really are hoping that people will see that this is something they can step up and do and understand. Firefighters are not just big burly men going and busting down doors of burning buildings. Like that's not what this means. It's people doing PR for stations. It's people doing IT support for stations. It's people cooking for stations. It's 16-year-olds and it's 73-year-olds, right? And it really takes that whole community with a range of skills and backgrounds and everything coming together. That's what makes it work. And so there is a place for everyone. And so, if you're in a community that needs that support, that's what we really want, is for people to know that this is something that they could step up and do, and, to reach out and support in other ways if you're not in one of those communities. But it's 75% of the country, so there's a decent chance that you are.
And this has nothing to do with the film, but what music do you both like? What's on your playlist?
Personal playlist?
Yes.
Let me pop it up. Personally for me, I listen to all kinds of music, but a lot of indie kind of rock type stuff. But just listening to, there's a band called Prefab Sprout. I've never heard of them, from back in the 90s, had this album called Steve McQueen, and they just re-released an acoustic version of it, which is beautiful. So that's kind of what I've been listening to. But it's all, you know, we're big into music, and we've got another story we're working on about music and vinyl production and blues music and all kinds of stuff. So Cam, what's on your playlist?
I go far and wide in my musical taste. Pretty much anything's on there. But I'm kind of, you know, we're all stuck in our high school and college days. I think go back to
Speak for yourself.
Pop of the okay, I am. Gary's much more adventurous, honestly, musically than I am, probably. But yeah, I go back to that, you know, early 2000s rock and pop stuff a lot. So yeah.
Okay. And if you two were gonna do karaoke, what would be your go-to song?
Wow. Yeah, I'm gonna let you start with that one.
Go-to karaoke song. I have no idea. You got me stumped on this one, Rocco.
How about I would do there's a song by Sinatra that I actually love called Summer Wind, which is kind of like a very personal song. And so yeah, I'll pick Summer Wind, Sinatra. Why not? Not that I can sing like Sinatra, but
I got to go with "Lose Yourself" by Eminem. That's my pump up song. So I'll take a spin on that.
And my last question I'm going to ask is also like a fun question. I'm a big horror movie guy, and I was wondering what your go-to horror film is if you were going to watch horror.
Great question. I don't watch a lot of horror, but I do love like really good horror. I mean, I go back to The Shining, classic horror movies like that.
Is that horror? I guess that's horror.
I don't know. What do you think, Rock? To qualify?
Definitely, for sure.
Yeah.
Shining's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Night of the Living Dead, back to one of the old G, movies. I love that film. I remember the Freddy Krueger stories when I was, younger. That was kind of like, those were fun. Yeah. I don't have a wide range of horror stuff. Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of everything that Jordan Peele has done recently too.
Yeah, sure. Get Out. That's
Nope
great.
was amazing. I really liked that. That was really fun.
That was really good.
Yeah.
And Us was a really good movie.
Yeah, that was a crazy one.
And where can fans follow you both at?
Yeah, so for the film, go to oddhoursfilm.com. That's the main place to follow screenings. We got the streaming release coming up on the 27th, so all the information is there. And we're also on social media. It's Odd Hours Film on Facebook and Instagram. So definitely check it out there. And then for us at Vignette, we're at storyiseverything.com.
Oh, okay. Nice. Well, thank you so much for taking time and doing this. It was fun chatting with you both. Thank you.
Thanks, Rocco.
Thank